Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever coverage of the Pogchamps 2 G.O.D. edition chess tournament. So, today we have a game between River and Rubio. And as you can see, Rubio came out on top. This is my first time looking at this game, so we will see how it went. All right. I should probably switch to this. River begins with I don't even know. I'm going to call it G3. I mean, that is the move it is, but I'll call it the King's Fianchetto opening because generally you just want to bring this bishop here, just get on this long diagonal. Rubio responds, D5. Pretty much, yeah, there's a lot of things that you can play against this, because it's pretty, flexible. You could play, a G6 yourself. Probably don't play B6, just that's kind of dumb. You could play something with, C6 and D5, just trying to, clog up that diagonal. I personally just, play E6 against this kind of thing, usually with knight F6 and D5. Maybe C5, go for kind of a Queen's Gambit type setup. But D5, probably the most common move. And yeah, that's not much to explain about that. Knight F3, that's just another move right out of the book. It's kind of varying move orders. I think usually Bishop G2 is played, but Knight F3 is fine too. So all usually leads to the same thing. Knight F6 by Rubio, just more normal stuff. Okay, Knight C3. So, thing about this move I don't like too much. D4 kind of can displace it. I honestly don't know what would be better than to go back here if they play D4. So that's no good. So you're just gonna get targeted and crap. So after they play C5, just grab a huge center and then you're gonna get overrun on the queen side. So that's the main downside. It's just D4 is a strong move. Does Rubio play it? No, he plays Bishop G4. Not a bad move either. It's, as far as I'm concerned, the main threat is to take here. And then, if you take back, then you've got doubled pawns. That's not too good, is it? You generally don't want doubled pawns. That's just not a very good thing to have. You just don't want to have doubled pawns. Especially it can lead to just weaknesses in the middle game, end game. It's just not very easy to defend doubled pawns. H3. So the computer says Bishop G2 is best. That's what I would have played as well, just because it prevents the doubling of the pawns. But now, if I were Rubio, I would just take and double the pawns because, your bishop's not gonna. You just wasted tempo if you just move your bishop here and don't take after they attack. Because, here is kind of. I mean, maybe you could argue that that's not too good for white either, but I don't know. I would just take. Which he does. River takes back, and E5 by Rubio. Yeah, that's a perfectly good move. Grabs more space in the center. The computer says C4. Essentially accomplishes the same thing. It just maybe is a little better. But D3 by River. Not a bad move. Reinforces your control over this square. Again, computer says Bishop G2. I probably would have played it there too, just so I can get castled. But D3 not bad. Bishop D6 by Rubio. That is a fine move. The computer says it's the best, but I like the alternative better because I generally, before I put my bishop anywhere, on one of these squares, I always make sure that their knight can't just come here and attack it, because usually I like to keep my bishops on the board, or at least in open games, which most of my openings I like to play open games. Do not like closed positions at all, or at least not too much. except the close Sicilian. That one's good. But I always don't like that because then I like lose the bishop, and I don't like it. So I would have played what the computer said first, c6, and then brought my bishop here probably. But does River play knight b5? No, he plays queen e2. It's not a terrible move as far as I'm concerned, because your bishop can still come here and you can castle, but like you need to bring your bishop there and castle. Because Rubio here, I'd assume, can just castle, and you've got threats with bringing the rook to e1 and the king and queen are on the same file. If you don't like just get that out immediately. There's also with his big center, it's a lot easier to exploit that kind of thing. Yep, Rubio castles, which is the best move. Does River play? No. Oh, no. River. Okay, yeah, so like I said, bishop g2, pretty much the best move. You just got to play bishop g2 and... oh, yeah, look, see, even the line up here, it says bishop g2 and then castles. Like, you got to get your king off of that file. You just got to get your king safe, and then you can continue with your game. But if you play f4, even like kind of provokes it, because if you take it, like they can just take the pawn, and then this rook is coming to this file. So let's see. Rubio took it, I'd assume. Yep. All right. So now I believe the threat would be, well, you can't take back, because even though it might look like you're holding after you play bishop e3, there is a little fork called d4, and they cannot take because of this pin on the bishop. So then you're losing at least one of your pieces. Oh, no. He took it. All right. Does Rubio find everything? Yep. I'd assume, right? Maybe he sees it. Yeah. He found it. River responds with knight e4, best move. Rubio captures the bishop. Knight takes f6. I don't think it's a great move. I mean, considering you're already down material and you're just like... All right, so as a general rule, you don't want to trade more material when you're already down material, because that's just going to give you less chances of making a comeback. So, not a thing that you want to do, usually. Rubio takes back with the queen. River captures the pawn. Should have castled queenside, according to the computer, because like this pawn, if he like just castles here, like Rubio cannot take this pawn because he's going to get back ranked, because this pawn's now pinned to the rook. So he doesn't need to capture this pawn right away. He can leave this tension. But he just captures. Castle. Yeah. Anyway, Rubio could have taken the b2 pawn. He did not. He just decided to bring his knight into the game and connect these two rooks. Rook d1, not terrible. Bishop g2 again, according to the computer, would have been the best move. Was not played. Bishop takes f4, good. Unleashing a tactic called, if you take my bishop, I take your queen. Take your queen, because this pawn's pinned. River does not take the bishop, I hope. Okay, e4. Okay, the computer wants you to take the bishop. Computers are dumb sometimes. They just say the objectively best move. Taking the bishop is not going to give you the greatest chance of a comeback, as far as I'm concerned. There's no way that would give you a good chance of making a comeback. e4 gives you a much stronger shot, because at least your queen is staying on the board for now. At least there's still room for your opponent to mess up. and you still have a very powerful piece on the board. So I think e4 is perfectly fine. All right, Rubio now takes the b pawn. And queen g4 by river. That is the best move. It is activating the queen. It's attacking this and this, so forking them actually, those two pieces, and it's also adding pressure to g7. Rubio responds. Queen c3. Not a bad move. It gains tempo, and you're going to be taking this pawn no matter what because the king is forced to one of these two squares. So gaining even more tempo. All right, river moves there. Not a great move because it prevents you from escaping once, like, all right, so I'd imagine that what the computer wants is for you to move here. So then when they take, you can hide on like g1. Because, or even move your bishop in front actually might be the move. Because, like, let's see what the computer says. So king f2, queen takes. Then yeah, see it wants bishop e2. So then you get to block with the bishop and connect your two rooks. So, you know, better than king e2 just for that reason. But Rubio takes the pawn now. Okay, yeah, so the computer, rather than taking the pawn, wanted you to play rook takes e4, just nasty move because they cannot take, because this pawn is actually pinned. It's pinned because it has to stop the queen from getting to this square, which would be checkmate. So all of the squares that the king can go to are covered. It's actually a pretty common, well, not common, but it's a mating pattern that you should know, where like there's two pieces right here, and then a queen just comes in and, you know, there's nowhere for the king to go. So that was the best move, but Rubio's plays a very natural move, taking the pawn. River finds the best move, also the only move to not get checkmated, king e1. I mean, none of the other moves really would have made sense too much, so Rubio plays queen c3 check again. River moves back to e2. Again, going back to f2 would have been a bit better. And Rubio had the same tactic as before. He still didn't find it. I wouldn't expect to find it. I probably wouldn't have found it if I was in the game. Yeah. But knight c5, perfectly good move. Adding more pressure to these. Yeah. River takes the hanging bishop. Not a bad move. Actually, the best move, obviously. I mean, it's a hanging piece, and you're trying to get back in the game. Of course you're going to take it. All right, Rubio, best move. He's got his two rooks now in the center. He's got a lot of pressure on these pawns. Yeah. Bishop g2 now, after quite some time. King f2 was best because, first of all, it brings the king a little bit out of danger, and also it adds another defender to that pawn, which you do not want to be taken. But bishop g2. Rubio plays queen c2 check. Not too great since he could have just taken the pawn, but okay. Rook d2 by River, and queen c3 by Rubio. River takes the hanging c7 pawn, and Rubio now takes the d3 pawn, which is also hanging. Oh, no, River. I'm not sure if this was a mouse slip or if he just didn't see, but yeah, this does lead to mate in 5. I'm going to try and find it. I'd assume it's taking here first. The king is forced onto the back rank, and that just looks mating to me. I'm not going to calculate it out right now, but let's see what happened. Did Rubio just take the queen, or did he? Nope. He went with queen takes d2. King f1 is forced, and now he takes the queen. King g1. by River, best move. And then queen e1 check by Rubio. Bishop f1. Rubio plays rook g3 check. It's not the fastest way to checkmate, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't care. I mean, yeah, I mean, you're still winning. You're still going to checkmate them. Rubio plays that, and checkmate. Rubio wins. Yeah, I think this was a great first game to kick off the tournament. It was interesting. I honestly don't think either player played too badly. It's honestly, Rubio played really well. River didn't play terrible. He just had a few mistakes, which Rubio did a very good job taking advantage of. But it'll be interesting to see how things progress later in the tournament. Like, Rubio, I believe, should be like second seed. Like, well, like just. All right, so as far as I'm concerned, this is my my thing. Yeah, that's what it is. No, so I'm the number one player because I'm rated like 1,500. Rubio's rated about 1,300, maybe a little over, so he'd be like number two. Then Nathan's rated around 1,100, so he'd be number three. My brother's also playing, so he's probably number four. I think he's around like 700 or 800 rated. But River might actually be pretty good because he's also like 800 rated. But we'll see. I don't know. Like I said, we'll have to see how it progresses. Then I think Wallace or River, Braden, I don't know, something in that order. And how many people even are there? And then there's JP, who doesn't actually know how to play chess. So, not expecting too much there. Who else is in it? I've got no idea. Yeah, but this was a pretty big rating gap, so Rubio's a pretty good player. River is I mean, there's a very large rating gap in this tournament. I think River played very well, and against somebody who like around his rating, he probably would have won. To be honest, it's just Rubio did a good job taking advantage of the mistakes. And yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say. Rubio took advantage of the mistakes that River made. He didn't really make any mistakes himself. That's what happened. So, a nice game to start off the tournament. And I don't know if I'm going to post anything tomorrow all the way through like possibly Tuesday. Might be taking, I just can't upload. Like, if I can, I will. I might like record something today or tomorrow and then like schedule it to upload sometime over the weekend. But if not, yeah, I just won't upload. And I will be doing more coverage, maybe even live coverage and commentary of some games in this tournament, all throughout the summer probably. That's it. See you next time.